welcome to this new video for my channel, The Mental Traveler. I'm Caro Herrera, and today I'm going to be reviewing a book called The Collector's Daughter, a novel of the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb by Jill Paul. It was released in 2021, and it's about 380 pages long. Also, before I begin, let me just say that this will be a video with mild spoilers, so beware. I've always loved history, and when I was in elementary school, my favorite period in time was ancient Egypt. I just dreamed of the day when I would be an archaeologist. And even though my love for ancient Egypt didn't survive my teenage years, I think a big source of those feelings were the Mummy films and the Prince of Egypt animated movie. And I mean, even if I am not as into it as I used to be, I still really like the time period. So when I saw someone on a Facebook group recommend The Collector's Daughter, my attention was caught by the book cover. I thought it looked beautiful, and the woman seemed to be from the 1920s or the 1930s, which put me in mind of Death on the Nile, The Purple Rose of Cairo, and The Jewel of the Nile. So I decided to check it out, and when I discovered that it was linked to Downton Abbey, I was very intrigued indeed. So one lazy Sunday, I had nothing to do and decided to start reading it, and I finished the novel in like 12 hours because I just couldn't put it down. I'll read the Goodreads review because I really liked it. Lady Evelyn Herbert was the daughter of the Earl of Carnarvon, brought up in stunning Highclere Castle. Popular and pretty, she seemed destined for a prestigious marriage, but she had other ideas. Instead, she left behind the world of society balls and chaperones to travel to the Egyptian desert, where she hoped to become a lady archaeologist, working alongside her father and Howard Carter in the hunt for an undisturbed tomb. In November 1922, their dreams came true when they discovered the burial place of Tutankhamun, packed full of gold and unimaginable riches, and she was the first person to crawl inside for 3,000 years. She called it the greatest moment of her life, but soon afterwards, everything changed, with a string of tragedies that left her world a darker, sadder place. Newspapers claimed that it was the curse of Tutankhamun, but Howard Carter said no rational person would entertain such nonsense. Yet, 50 years later, when an Egyptian academic came asking questions about what really happened in the tomb, it unleashed a new chain of events that seemed to threaten the happiness Eve had finally found. I'm actually going to give The Collector's Daughter a 4 out of 5 stars review because I really liked it. It's not amongst my favorite books or anything, which is why I'm not giving it a higher rating, but I really enjoyed it and I learned so much with it. The chapters that are presented as flashbacks and shows us how Tutankhamun's tomb was discovered were fascinating, and the chapters where the protagonist is an old woman turned out to be very emotional and bittersweet. The protagonist was great. I could not only relate to her, but I grew to love her and her story more and more the further I read on. But what I think I enjoyed the most about The Collector's Daughter was that I discovered all these links to many films and series that I love. For example, apparently Evelyn from the Mummy films was inspired by Lady Evelyn Herbert, and then the real Lady Evelyn grew up in Highclere Castle, as I said earlier, which means that this woman was the real person living in Downton Abbey in the early decades of the 20th century, because the real Highclere Castle is used as a fictional Downton Abbey. And then the protagonist's brother sired Lord Porchester, also known as Porchy, one of Queen Elizabeth II's closest friends, and I learned about their friendship in the series The Crown. So now I will always remember when I rewatch those scenes with them together, Downton Abbey and the mummies and Tutankhamun's tomb and this book. And in the end, the protagonist also has a very bittersweet, lovely love story. And when she grows old, her husband and her have this very powerful resemblance storyline to that of The Notebook, which had me bawling in tears. So it was indeed a very powerful reading, and I was not expecting that when I first began to read the novel. But it was a very pleasant surprise. The only things that I think I could mention that weren't as great about this book, though, would be that the writing style isn't extraordinary, and if you are expecting a novel dealing only with Tutankhamun's tomb and its discovery, this isn't it. This is a book about the woman whose father made that discovery possible. And yeah, I mean, we do learn about Tutankhamun's curse and other things, but the novel follows the protagonist to her death, so we get a lot more in return than just this visit to ancient Egypt. If they ever make a movie out of this book, I will of course be watching and reviewing it. But until they do, thank you so much for watching my review of it. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that you enjoyed it, but please let me know if you did or if you didn't, as well as what are your own thoughts regarding the book, the real historical figures and events behind it, Downton Abbey, the Mummy films, anything that's relevant, because I would love to talk about it all with you. Also, in the description box below you can find a link to that book's Goodreads page, and well, I'm Caro Herrera, the Mental Traveler, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. I'll be seeing you soon. Take care and goodbye!